Do we have to hear from Nancy Pelosi? She's confident. She is believing the Michael Moore hype.
And we are joined now by Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Good morning, and it's great to have you here at the table, Speaker.
My pleasure. Thank you. Good morning.
You have said a lot is going to be determined by turnout, but you've heard our CBS estimates have the Republicans taking the House with 224 seats. How do you shift the momentum?
Well, let's just say, first and foremost, good morning. It's Sunday morning, 15 days or so before the election. People are already voting. We're very pleased with our early vote for our Owning the Ground initiative. It's interesting to me because for a year and a half, the media has been saying, oh, it's gone. President's party always loses in the off year, and now we're down to the stretch, and we're down to very close races. And we feel very confident. I've been in over 20 states since Congress adjourned in the last month or so, and I see very clearly that the ownership of the ground is with us. It's about getting out the vote. Everything else is a conversation compared to that. But in order to do that, you have to have inspiration. You can't run on empty. And the fact is that when I hear people talk about
please leave. Please leave. I don't believe the rumors. I think she'll die in office.
It's a global phenomenon.
Yes.
The EU, the European Union, the UK, the British have a higher inflation rate than we do here. It's not, the fight is not about inflation, it's about the cost of living. And if you look at what we have done to bring down the cost of prescription drugs, to bring down the cost of energy and the rest in our legislation, you will see that that has been opposed every step of the way by the Republicans, and they have no plan for lowering the cost of living or helping with inflation.
Absolutely, inflation is a global problem, and it's hitting a lot of countries very hard. But there is also that question of fiscal spending. Congressman
She
Jim
looks like she's already been taxidermied.
alongside you said the following earlier this week.
All of us are concerned about these rising costs, and all of us knew this would be the case.
Fiber needs to go to
This recovery program. Anytime you put more money into the economy, prices tend to rise.
Did you also realize at that time that the congressional spending would add to inflation? Did you see that?
Oh my God.
First of all, government spending does. We had a pandemic, and that brought down unemployment from 7% to 3.5% now. It put people back to work, children back in school, inoculations in the arm, and it helped take us through that phase of the pandemic. But let me just say that because of more people working and the rest, the deficit has been cut in half from 2.8 to 1.4 trillion dollars. That is a big change. So yes, we have to take a step forward to solve the pandemic problem, but we did so in a way that would reduce the national deficit, and that cannot be ignored.
But on things like sending, those $1,400 checks, putting cash out there.
That's right.
I mean, didn't that end up contributing to inflation? Do you have any regrets about the bills you passed and how you structured them?
No, absolutely not, because that was necessary for people to survive. Our purpose
was that it was inflationary.
But the point is that when you reduce unemployment, it's inflationary. That is a fact. When I was a new member of Congress, I was told that unemployment was dangerously low in our hearings on inflation and unemployment. Unemployment is dangerously low for what it does to inflation. But
What did I walk back into?
Is that this is about helping America's working families meet their needs, and that was essential to them. Less inflationary than a $2 trillion tax cut for the high end that the Republicans gave, and we're still paying a price for $2 trillion, 83% of the benefits going to the top 1%. So we feel proud of what we've done. We feel proud of the president to help America's working families to lower their cost, and in doing so to reduce the deficit.
Well, on the issues that voters tell CBS News are important to them, Abortion ranks number 7. Up top,
Did she just
economy,
complain
inflation,
about the
crime,
unemployment rate being
immigration.
lower? Did I just
Was it a
misread that?
miscalculation to believe that the momentum from striking down Roe versus Wade was going to help Democrats? Why not talk more about these issues around the economy?
Well, I can just say this. Nobody ever, the elections are about the future. They're about the economy.
Then why the fuck are you still in
Nobody
government?
said we're doing abortion rather than economy, but it's about both. And I can tell you that that issue is very, very provocative and encouraging people to vote across the country,
Yes.
having just been there, not sitting in Washington, but going around the country. But I would say this.
24% of likely voters, according to our
I am
poll.
so done with Nancy Pelosi.
And
Issue
that's
about
a
Roe.
good number.
But you need them to win, right?
That's a good number.
Let me say this. Here's what happened. Let's just talk about what this comes down to. In these races, and why I'm
And it's
optimistic
not the
about-
age. It's not the age. Bernie is older than she is. But Bernie is well-spoken and can get a point across and is not stumbling to defend their position or even make a point. This has been... And yeah, exactly. She's in the government for insider trading. She has blocked legislation to prevent insider trading. If you follow her husband and his stock trades and do what he does, you win like 75% out of the time. And like that's it. That's only if you have inside information. You know, Tones, you could be. She is trying to dissuade young voters. But I'm not ageist because Bernie was just fine. Bernie was older. We just heard from Bernie, and he was well-spoken, well put together, got a point across. She has no business being on TV. She had the ice cream thing a couple years ago was absolutely tone deaf.
They're close races.
Follow her husband, but only in the markets, not on the highway.
Silver, bronze, or
Sound
honor to
advice.
an Olympian.
Fuck,
So these are tough
mocks.
fights. But that's what they are, and it's a big change from what the media thread of, oh, they can't possibly win. No, we can possibly win. But here's the thing. In these districts, the Republicans have said that if they win, they want to subject Medicare, Social Security, held blackmail to lifting the debt ceiling. They have said they would like to review Medicare and Social Security every 5 years. They have said that they would
This has been
like to
painful to
make it
watch.
a discretionary spending that Congress could decide to do it or not rather than mandatory. So Social Security and Medicare are on the line. A woman's right to choose is on the line. The planet is on the line. Issues that relate to prescription drugs.
Yes.
For years, we've been trying to get the secretary to negotiate for lower prices. We couldn't get it done until we had the Democratic president and a strong majority, enough in the Congress to get it done.
I want to ask you about that, the future and the new Congress potentially. You told Andrea Mitchell earlier this week, we need generational change, but in some cases there's no substitute.
It's such a low bar, Mox.
Will you remain in leadership in the new Congress?
I'm not talking about that. I'm here to talk about how we win the election.
But to deliver on all these things.
I was only paying Andrea a compliment for all the experience that she has.
I see.
But the fact is, we need to.
So you may or you may not.
She's running for re-election, so I would assume she wants to be
the
in
future
Democratic
of
leadership.
America's working families, for the children.
But she
It's
wants to talk
always
about the future.
children. And the point is this, that these issues, if you're a senior, you have a lot at risk.
Yes.
If you're a childbearing age woman, you have a lot at risk if your family does. If you care about the planet, you have a lot at risk. They said it's a hoax. When we had the debate on our funding for addressing the climate crisis, not one Republican vote. When we talked about, so what we need to go forward with is more that we had in our agenda, and child care, child tax credit, issues like that.
Yeah. Where's the child tax credit at? That was a good thing when it happened. That's been gone, what, a year and a half now? It was a great thing while it happened. A former aide to Donald Trump says that if he were to testify, which he has been subpoenaed to do, I'm sorry, I gotta hit you with more Jake Tapper. If Trump were to testify, which we all hope he will, and apparently the rumor is that he is leaning towards it, Trump's former aide says that he would perjure himself 5 ways to Sunday.
Let's talk about this with our panel. So on Friday, the January 6th committee
Good night, Mandy.
officially subpoenaed Donald Trump to testify and produce documents for their investigation, saying he was, quote, at the center of the first and only effort by any U.S. president to overturn an election. So does he testify?
Yeah, listen, I can tell you all those statements that he made, he actually wanted to go and participate. And I know at the advice of counsel, the White House counsel, and everyone working on those impeachments and all those different investigations, basically chained him to the desk, wouldn't let him go. He is not encumbered by those people this time, right? They are not working for him. And so I think there's nothing more that he'd like to do than go to the January 6th committee and testify. It'd be the best TV you'd see. Stay tuned.
But I have to say, why
I agree.
told him not to testify previously?
Because they know he'll say crazy. That's why. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I mean, that's the thing in watching that. I can imagine being a staffer watching him say, I'd love to, thinking, thank God it'll never happen. Because, I mean, look at what he's already done earlier this year. Plead the fifth, plead the fifth, plead the fifth. He's not going to answer questions.
Having staffed him through some
I was just
horrifying
thinking,
interviews,
like,
I
this
there
was
for the
useless, me
Jonathan
playing
Swan.
this.
We all remember that interview around COVID.
I could have done all this commentary.
He would be under oath, presumably. He would inevitably perjure himself 5 ways to Sunday if.
Let's talk about this with our panel. So on Friday, the January 6th
There's your clip. We don't have to suffer through too much of it.